There is another Dory. However, many people believe that Vandersloot could be covering up for someone else, someone very close to him, someone whose name he'll never give up. Beth?
Well, absolutely, and there are two Dowies that are been discussed, and I don't think that one of them has been ruled out. So, and that is something else that has been surfacing as to, you know, as Ron gives this statement, he also says this name he will take to his grave. Well, he's not in his grave, Nancy, so he says he's going to take it to his grave. Well, I'm not so sure if you're going to be disclosing a name if you're going to take it to your grave. So
let's go out to medical examiner Dr. Zanche Wah. Dr. Wah, thank you for being with us. If Natalee's remains were found now, there would be no way to determine the semen, the sperm that Joran Vandersloot refers to, would there?
Agree.
Why?
Because at this stage, if it's in the high temperature, the body goes through significant degree of decomposition. I would expect if somewhere in the ocean, lots of fresh tissue being gone.
However, if there was a gunshot wound or a knife wound, that may be determined by the skeletal remains.
Yes, or even have some bone fracture during the struggle.
Let's go out now to Pat Brown, criminal profiler. Pat, weigh in.
I am in total agreement with you that this convulsion did not happen. I believe that Joran, he's always making Natalee the bad person. He's always the victim. My guess is he's angry at her because he didn't get the sex he wanted. He forced it on her, he smothered her, or he strangled her. He knew he did wrong. He couldn't make the phone call to Daddy and say, hey, I need help. This girl's passed out on the beach. He knew he couldn't call anybody because he killed her. And I also would look at the possibility that he's saying enough, that he's saying what he wants to in the sense of saying that he was with her, had sex, and yeah, something happened to her, but he may be lying about everything else to cover up where she is. I would say if he's worried about semen, maybe she is buried on land. Hey, I got an email that said she was buried under the gardener's shack at Daddy's house. I would like to know how the police checked every single thing possible on that land or any place else she could have been buried, because if she's found someplace where Joran, his father, has anything to do with, I'd say that would be good information.
With me here in the studio is Natalee's mom, Beth Holloway, who's become a victims' rights advocate after the loss of her daughter. Beth, we're all talking about legal theories and evidentiary issues. When you hear that, do you steel yourself to it and not connect it to your girl?
Well, I think that, you know, when every parent is, you know, any parent that is faced with something like this, I think that you have to somehow, gosh, you know, you just, and I don't mean to detach, but you do have to kind of like have some type of protective barrier there for you, because you know you're there to fight for your child. Yet it's so hard to be in a fighting mode if you're succumbing to all the emotions and the you know, the hurt to it. So it is a delicate balance of how to you know, to keep hopefully moving forward towards justice for your loved one.
Do you ever believe that you feel Natalee's presence with you?
I think what I do, Nancy, is I take comfort in knowing that I feel the peace and comfort from Natalee, and I'm not sure if it's really, if I ever thought about it as her presence, but that I do. I've always felt, you know, at peace in my heart with that I knew that Natalee was with God. And I think now, after hearing Joran's full admission, I take even more peace and comfort in knowing that, you know, my prayers were answered and I needed to know what happened. You know, the not knowing is the sheer hell, and the knowing, even though it's difficult, it gives you that ability to have peace and comfort and begin the morning in this journey.
Holloway's father talks to Nancy about Joran Vandersloot's taped conversations with a Dutch reporter. Nancy Grace, Headline News tomorrow night, 8 and 10 Eastern.
I was shocked by the disrespect he talked about Natalee. He called her a bitch and things like that.
He called her a whore.
Yeah.
He called her a bitch for absolutely no reason. This girl had a sterling reputation.
Yeah, and he's showing no remorse at all. He's telling that he didn't lose 1 second of sleep.
Joran Vandersloot's defense? He was high on pot. Do you buy it? I don't. Let's go out to Dr. Susan Lipkin, psychologist and author. Susan, do you buy the theory that someone will confess repeatedly, at least 10 times over a period of months, just because they were on pot?
No, absolutely not. We all know that pot does not make you lie like that, and the fact that it's consistent. So I'm quite sure that what he said was in some part reality, and I believe that he is guilty of what he...
Susan, what do you make of him saying he hasn't lost a minute's sleep over Natalee?
I'm not sure if he was bragging and trying to be macho in front of this guy who he was trying to show off, or if in fact he was just a psychopath and totally disconnected from reality and didn't care.
Here on the set with me is Natalee's mother, Beth. When you look back over nearly 3 years, what is your, when you think about it at night before you go to sleep, what do you make of this 3-year journey, this battle you've been through?
I would have to say, if I knew the day that I got that call that Natalee was not gathering in the Holiday Inn lobby to depart for the airport, if I'd known what was ahead of me, Nancy, God, I don't know if I could have fought as hard. I had no idea. You know, Nancy, I just thought I was going to fly to Aruba and I was going to get her and bring her home, or, you know, we're going to find her, you know. I had no idea what was before me, and that's a good thing because, golly, I think back and I think, God, I don't know if you know, it's so insurmountable anyway to think about when that much of a journey is ahead of you. It's a good thing I didn't know what was ahead, because I just don't know if I could have fought as hard, Nancy. God, because I had no idea it would be. I know 2.5 years later, and from an investigative standpoint, I understand sometimes they can take years, 10 years, and sometimes they're not resolved. But to a mom and to a parent, and when it happens, you want answers now, and you want them today.
The exact opposite of Beth Holloway is the mom we're about to tell you about. Take a listen.
An 11-year-old girl in Anderson, Indiana, celebrated her birthday by drinking beer and smoking pot, and police say she got it from her mother. Mom's denying it, but 3 friends at the party say she offered it to them, too. Mom's been charged with contributing to the delinquency of a minor.
The little girl's 11th birthday party, and Mommy gives her pot and booze. Out to Charlie Butcher. Thank you for being with us with WOWO News Talk Radio. What happened?
Well, it's a story of an 11-year-old birthday party that just absolutely went stupid, Nancy. The mother, of course, Davita Fuller of Anderson, allows her daughter to have 3 of her friends over on February 1st. They're going to celebrate her 11th birthday. You're in 5th grade at that point in time. She also invites some people over, her sister and some guy named Alex. Well, at some point during the evening, the sisters decide to light up the blunt that Sarah brought with her and crack open some beers, and maybe little Davita's daughter would enjoy some of that for her birthday, too, so they offer it to her. She takes a drink and a drag, and the 3 friends were also offered some, but they turned it down. And according to the girls, they were told, don't say anything to anybody, we'll get in trouble. Well, of course, somebody talks, because the Department of Child Services starts an investigation with the help of the Anderson Police Department. They interview Mom, who says, yeah, we had dope at the party, but we didn't let the kids have any. You see, I gave my daughter that little look that means beat it, we're going to start passing it around. And that, by the way, isn't a direct quote. Mom, of course, has a small criminal background. The neighbors are all shocked. They can't believe all this is happening in their neighborhood. Davita was arrested, as you said, charged with contributing. She is bonded out, but the investigation does continue, and it's not your normal Hoosier cake and pin the tail on the donkey birthday party.
No, it's a pot and booze party for an 11-year-old little girl. With me is Charlie Butcher with WOWO News Talk Radio. To Dr. Waugh. Dr. Waugh, very quickly, what effect does marijuana and alcohol have on an 11-year-old little girl?
Alcohol certainly will suppress your memory, cause a lot of distortion, same as marijuana. Give you a sort of misconception of reality. And kids at a young age really supposed at this age of study, they're not supposed to involve this kind of behavior.